Yo, it's Elliot with Yo Elliot. You got strength questions, I got your answer.
Yo, Elliot.
Today I'm actually answering several questions about one video that I made several months ago. Here it is. If you ever get an opportunity to contrast the difference between current bodybuilders who have these big, thick bellies and Arnold and those guys back in the 70s, their waists were tiny compared to the big chunky abs that the guys have now. Part of the reason why is because they utilize an exercise that Vince taught called vacuuming. And this is basically where they'd cinch in or they'd suck in their belly and pull all the organs in and create a cinching effect, if you can see my diagram here, around the abdominals. So basically, instead of crunching forward and creating that protruding type belly like we described earlier, especially if you're activating the hip flexors, this creates a corset effect where you're pulling everything in. And the way that's done is through, like I said, vacuuming. And what vacuuming does is it increases the activation of something called your thoracocolumnar fascia. And this is like a sheath of fascia that wraps your entire abdominal area and cinches in, creating intra-abdominal pressure. So if you're a strength and conditioning coach or you're a heavy weight lifter, intra-abdominal pressure is something very important to your ability to deadlift, your ability to squat, and if you're an athlete playing football or something, it's your ability to slam into somebody and take a real good hit depends on your intra-abdominal pressure. That's why you do things like take a deep breath and brace. Well, that's kind of what you're doing when you perform exercises like this that increase your intra-abdominal pressure. Very important stuff. I like to call this God's weight belt or nature's weight belt because it does basically the same thing. We wear a weight belt because it cinches us in and creates intra-abdominal pressure. Well, you've got a muscle that nature created that essentially does this, or fascia that does the same exact thing. And you do that by practicing these vacuuming type exercises. It increases your core strength for lifting. Your true core stability comes from improving posture through strengthening the thoracocolumnar fascia, amongst other things, but the center of the body is a good place to start. So you got these strength and conditioning coaches and personal trainers out there that tell you, like, you got to do more core stability stuff, and they have you dancing around on wobble boards and balls. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. The truth of the matter is that to increase your core stability, the stability in this area, you've got to strengthen in that vacuum fashion, and you do that by activating the thoracocolumnar fascia. So if you notice in that video, I talk about not using, or Vince Gironda advises not using crunching exercises and to instead use vacuuming type exercises. Really quickly, the value in using these types of exercises is twofold. Number one, obviously, because when you draw your belly button in, you activate the TVA, or the transversus abdominis, that's the name of the muscle, which cinches in and through your thoracocolumnar fascia, cinches in your entire waist. That's going to work well if you're a bodybuilder or you want to look good with your t-shirt off by improving your aesthetics. But it's also very important for performance because it's the true essence of core training. Really tightening and drawing in and solidifying the core of your body is achieved through the pulling in or the drawing in method of activation. And without going too far into the science or the anatomy of why and how that happens, I just want to give you an idea of how important this is. If you study old forms of martial arts or yoga, you know that there are like horse stance exercises and movements that you perform where you draw the belly button in, and as strange as this sounds, you pull the anus up in. So you've got sort of like a going down and a going up effect that they call, I believe, a root lock, because it's the center, the true core of your body, and you're locking it in by activating the pelvic basin, the thoracocolumnar fascia through the transversus abdominis. There's a lot going on there, and especially if you have a healthy digestive system and you practice these exercises, you'll not only have a smaller waist, but you'll really be stiff, you will be solid, you'll be strong, you'll have an incredible base of support for performance, either in weightlifting, in sports, whatever it is that you're into. So this is an exercise that I recommend athletes and people who are training for aesthetics and muscle building to do as well. So the question typically has been, and if you look at the comments in that other video, Elliot, what the hell is a tummy vacuum or a vacuum exercise, and how do you do it? So here it is. I'm going to show you exactly how to perform it. Then I'm going to talk about the finer points for you today. Gentlemen, ask your ladies to leave the room if you don't want to lose them, because the shirt's coming up. So what you're going to notice is I've got a box here. You can use a bench, or you could, whatever, just something that's about the height of your knees or mid-thigh. And you're going to lean over. You're going to take a deep breath and fill the belly. Watch. And then you're going to exhale and pull in. So a few things are happening there that you might not see. Number one, as I'm drawing the belly button in, I'm also pulling, like almost like you gotta take a crap and you want to hold it in. I'm pulling the anus up into my body, or like performing Kegel type exercises. If your wife or your girlfriend understands what that is, ask them. Kegel type exercises. So you're kind of like sucking all the genital type area up into your body. And the reason why you want to do that is because that's how you activate the pelvic floor, the pelvic basin. There's a crap load of muscles going on in this area. There's a ton of stability muscles in here that are activated by the pulling in and the drawing in of the anus and the sucking in of the abdominal. So that's what's happening. It's not just my belly going in and out. I'm really drawing in that entire area. The other thing is that when I pull the belly in, when I draw everything in, I'm also holding it for several seconds. So like 5 to 10 seconds. Here is the my advice on how to perform this with regard to sets and reps. Vince Gironda recommends doing it several times throughout the day. I'll put a link to one of his products down below or something that may mention it. He recommends doing like 10 sets of 10 seconds 10 times a day. That's a crap load. But the reason why is because you want to get your nervous system to recognize this pattern as a viable movement, something that you could do on demand at any time, because when you get really good at activating the thoracocolumnar fascia by drawing in, you can use this to support all of your exercises. So for example, when I deadlift, up until very recently when I started doing professional strongman, but before that, I would never use a belt. And it's because I had the ability, because I practiced these exercises for so long, had the ability to really create that root lock and activate the core for when I'm deadlifting. When you're doing other abdominal exercises, Vince Gironda's advice is to draw in when you're doing any type of sit-up exercise, or which he doesn't recommend, but like frog crunches or any other type of exercise for the abdominals. Flags, like dragon flags. I think Smitty from Diesel Crew has a video up about how to do dragon flags. I might make one for you also, or a link to his video. So those are different movements that you can add to your abdominal training regime while maintaining that root lock, that drawing in. I hope this all makes sense. I hope this is helpful for you. If you have any questions about this, post it on my blog. I set up a Yo Elliott blog for you to ask me questions about these videos. I wish I could get to everybody's questions, but I can tell you how you can get them answered like that. Send me a video. Ask me your question. I'm here to support you, get you stronger, get you leaner. Keep a lookout for cool shit that I'll be doing. Talk to you next time. Yo, Elliot.
you.